negligence. When the case was read, the counsel to the accused persons applied for bail, noting that the alleged offense was bailable. The magistrate granted all the accused persons bail in the sum of 500,000 naira each, while the two minors among them were released to their parents. The case was adjourned to January 20 for accelerated hearing. The magistrate warned all parties involved in the case to avoid unguarded media comments that could negatively affect the court process. Now for some COVID-19 updates. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has recorded 1,565 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 95,934. It reports that 95,934 cases have so far been confirmed, 77,982 cases discharged, and 1,330 deaths recorded in 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The 1,565 new cases are reported from 25 states, including Lagos with the highest, 807, the FCT with 236, Kaduna with 79 cases, Oyo 57, Plateau State with 47 cases, Rivers 37, Katsina with 35 new infections, Edo and Sokoto State both with 30 cases each, Delta 26, Kebbi with 23, Ondo with 20 cases, Enugu State 18 new infections, Abia with 17. Others are 17 also in Ogun State, Benue 16, Bayelsa with 15, Bauchi 14 new infections, Niger State 13 new cases, Kano 10, Borno with 6, Imo 5 cases, Ekiti 4, Osun 2 cases, and Jigawa with 1 new infection. Nigeria on Monday recorded its highest daily COVID-19 cases as the world continues to battle the virus, and reactions continue to trail the latest figures among Nigerians. Jacinta Obiuku brings this report.
Since early December 2020, there has been a spike in coronavirus cases in Nigeria as the country continues to record relatively high daily infections. Few days ago, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, reported 1,204 new coronavirus infections. Before then, the highest figure was the 1,145 cases recorded on December 17, 2020. On a breakfast show, we had a public health researcher discuss the federal government's position that there is no plan to impose second lockdown, the implications, while considering the possible hunger.
I can understand the reluctance in instituting another lockdown in Nigeria. The first lockdown, if you look at it holistically, came with its own challenges. So economic implications and financial implications. We are not in no way ready for a second lockdown, whether the citizens or the government. And the reasons are obvious. We don't have a proper database for indigent persons in Nigeria. And I think it was one of the difficulties of the first lockdown, in the sense that those who are really in need could not be reached in time.
Nigerians have also reacted to the daily spike of the virus.
As you can see me with my face mask, that means I don't want another lockdown.
The COVID-19 stuff is true. So it's just for us to be careful.
We also spoke to the NCDC official to find out how they arrived at the figures, since there is no
station of the health personnel either through the helpline, or they go to any facility, and the healthcare workers who are aware and they suspect this, either because the person is showing classical symptoms, or he's showing symptoms and they get history of somebody who is positive, who is in contact with that person.
On the rumor that the more the number increases, the more aid NCDC gets from international communities, this is what he has to say.
No international community has any money to give anybody now. Everybody is affected by this global pandemic.
Recall that NCDC warned in December that there will be a spike based on carelessness of many during festive period. It's still a call for all to take the observance of the protocols seriously. Jacinta Obuku for Plus TV Africa.
Thanks to Jacinta Obuku for that report. The news continues shortly after this break.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Contrary to popular belief, corona is not a hoax. The virus is real. Be responsible. Wear a mask. Wash your hands with soap and water and avoid crowded places. Maintain physical distancing. Be responsible. Together, we can overcome the pandemic.
Welcome back to the news. And now a quick conversation. We're now joined by Dr. Philip Ekbe, the chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, Abuja chapter. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Ekbe.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful, but let me make a correction. I was chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, FCT 2018 to 2020. I'm currently the Secretary General of the Nigerian Medical Association for the country, just to make that correction.
All right.
You have Job Amudu as the current chairman of NMFC FCT.
Noted. And
the general for the whole country, NMA.
That's noted, and congratulations on the new position.
Thank you.
Let's get into the discussions on COVID-19. What is your personal experience handling the virus on the front lines? It's obvious that the cases in Abuja are seeing numbers unlike before. So how are you handling it, and what are you having to do?
Well, it's actually horrifying, the spike we're having in this second wave. It's not been easy. We have lost several persons and healthcare workers to COVID-19. But one of the major problems is there is very reduced adherence to the NCDC protocol of wearing face mask, use of hand sanitizer, coughing over a flex elbow, and the use of running water with soap. I think it's a big problem. And also the physical distancing is actually not being maintained. As you can see, a lot of activities that took place. The festive period did not help matter because most people traveled and mingled in their villages, in their areas, and now they're back to work. And so the spike has tremendously increased. Like you just announced, the highest we have recorded since COVID-19 started in Nigeria is today, and we're not surprised.
Okay.
So the major thing is that the isolation centers are full. Yes.
All right. Quickly also talk about your assessment of
isolation centers are full.
The government's management of the pandemic in Nigeria so far. It's you've already stated that Nigerians aren't doing well enough with protecting themselves and going with the protocols for the COVID-19 protocols. But what is your assessment of the government's efforts with testing and management of the pandemic?
Well, first thing is to acknowledge the government concern. I mean, they are concerned and are proactive. As you notice, all the announcements, maybe through November, December, talking to people to keep to NCDC protocol, and are responding, they're providing what they need to do, but there's only limits to which they can do. You can imagine Nigeria is a population of like 200 million, and you can see the number of cases I've had today. I mean, that has led to some adjustment of some people who have to isolate at home if they're probably asymptomatic. But the symptomatic ones are increasing, and as if the spread has, more than doubled, and that means you need more hands. Unfortunately, we have limited facilities, so it is really, really, really tasking. But the government is doing as much as they can. They've reopened the isolation centers and are using the isolation centers to treat the patients, and the patients are responding. Just that there's also increased mortality compared to before. Thank you.
And lastly, I'm going to ask about the plans, that may need to come into play if the isolation centers become inadequate with the numbers that we see. Like you've said, asymptomatic people have to be at home. But if we run out of space, what next?
Well, as you know, just like it is anywhere in the world, the COVID-19 took everybody unaware. So government is also on its toes, trying to improve whatever they can improve. They can also make shift. They're watching the isolation centers and they're seeing, maybe by the time they're 70-80% occupied, they will begin to make alternative arrangements. If you remember before now, there are some hospitals that were even emptied to be able to take care of COVID-19 patients. So they may resort back to all that, and probably also create more isolation centers. But beyond that, remember too that the private sector have keyed in. Some private hospitals have also become isolation centers where COVID-19 is being treated. So that is also going to help to take up the burden. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Philip Ekpe, thank you so much for your time. We know you need to get back to work. Just a reminder that, of course, you should stay safe because Nigeria needs you at a time like this. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Yes, and I also think that maybe TV Africa Plus should also try to educate Nigerians on the need for the solution we're looking for, the world is looking for a solution, and the vaccine has come. And I know a lot of people are skeptical, but it is not unexpected that people will be skeptical, especially when there is a novel introduction of treatment, especially at the rate at which it came. But we have to take advantage of every opportunity. Too many persons are dying, and we must prevent and reduce those deaths. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much. It's my pleasure.
You're welcome. And now moving on to stories in other parts of Africa. The Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi held talks with his local counterpart, Dr. Lemogang Kwape, in Botswana on Thursday to reinforce bilateral and diplomatic relations, which the two nations consider to be based on mutual respect, trust and support. The talks were also to promote continued cooperation in anti-pandemic efforts, as well as various fields in the country, including agriculture and digital economy. Wang said China appreciated Botswana's reaffirmation of the One China principle and would continue to support the country in safeguarding its national sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity. Kwape expressed gratitude for China's medical assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic. China will also work with its 46th African partner to actively boost the synergy of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development with the African Union's Agenda 2063. It's also to uphold rather enhance the voice of developing countries in international affairs. And now moving on to stories from outside Africa. The U.S. 2020 presidential election between incumbent President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden has been riddled with lots of intrigue, controversies, suspense, and truths. Our correspondent Destiny Momo gives a review of the electoral journey between the two political giants and the aftermath of November 3rd polls.
It's risky, but you got to get out.
The 45th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, and the 46th President-elect, Joe Biden, had some pivotal moments from a dizzying election year. At the beginning of the year 2020, things were looking up for the Republican president. Impeachment trial ended in Senate, with him being cleared on 2 charges brought by Democrats. The fallout from the Mueller report was no longer hanging over his head. The economy was roaring, and prospects of his re-election looked relatively strong. Trump delivered a coronavirus address March 11, 2020, after weeks of downplaying the coronavirus threat, with cases skyrocketing in the country. Trump delivered a rare national address from the Oval Office in an attempt to reassure a jittery public.
We're years ahead on vaccines, and they're going to be distributed very shortly. I mean, frankly, it's a big political deal going on where they don't want it to be before the election.
For Biden, he won South Carolina primary on February, drop out of the race. The first Trump-Biden debate happened on September 29, 2020, needing something to turn his fortunes around. Trump came into his first debate with Biden looking for a fight.
My transition team is already working on what I'll put forward in the next Congress to address the multiple crises we're facing, especially our economic and COVID crises.
After a large turnout of voters for both candidates, making the largest in America's 240 years democracy, Biden won convincing, both with majority votes and Electoral College. Despite this, U.S. President Donald Trump said he will leave the White House if the Electoral College confirms Joe Biden's victory in the election. But speaking to reporters, he suggested he might never concede, alleging again without evidence there was massive fraud in the vote. In a dramatic form, Trump's supporters invaded the Capitol Hill to stop the certification of Biden's victory on the 6th of January. Worse still, the president urged the supporters on, which led to him being suspended from Twitter and Facebook come January 20, 2021. Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris will be sworn in as the 46th president of the United States, barring another unforeseen circumstances. Destiny Momo, reporting for Plus TV Africa.
And now for some entertainment. American rapper DaBaby has been released from police custody after he was arrested for gun possession on Thursday afternoon in Beverly Hills, California. The 29-year-old rapper was charged on 1 count of carrying a concealed weapon and 1 count of carrying a loaded firearm in a vehicle. The Beverly Hills police said that shortly after 4:30 p.m., officers were called to Rodeo Drive after a store security reported that a man had a weapon in his waistband while in the store. A group of men were detained at 4:45 p.m., police say, and DaBaby was arrested. The people he was with were detained and released at the scene. The singer, who has been nominated for 6 Grammy Awards, including the 2020 Record of the Year, was released on a $35,000 bond and is scheduled to appear in court in March. And in sports, Manchester United has completed the signing of Amad Diallo from Atalanta on a 4.5-year deal. An agreement was reached between the two clubs for the 18-year-old during the last transfer window, but the move was subject to a medical, work permit and personal terms. The Ivorian winger has the option to extend his contract, which runs until June 2025, by a further year. On his arrival at Old Trafford, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said the club had followed Amad for a number of years and believes he remains one of the most exciting young prospects in the game. Final clearance needed to complete the move has now been granted. An application has been made for the teenager's visa. Diallo will be permitted to travel to Manchester and to train with and play for Solskjaer's side once his visa has been issued. And that's the news at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa, and thank you for watching.
Hello. Today on the program, we will be talking about leadership and issues surrounding it with a man who has vast knowledge in that regard. He is described as the voice against stagnation. Dr. Derek Samuels is the founder and president of Derek Samuels Leadership Institute. He is a highly regarded business consultant, an author, a professor, and transformational leader who is on a quest to become one of the most prominent, inspiring thought leaders. His current published works include The Power of Movement, The Power of Your Tomorrow, The 10 Commandments of Success, Cutting-Edge Leadership Style, Substance and Sustenance, The Power of the New You, among others. He is a certified project management professional, holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, an MBA in management, and a PhD in applied management and decision sciences. Very happy to have him join us today on the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me here. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Let's just get down to it. Tell us a bit about the work that you do.
Very good. I am Dr. Derek Samuels, the voice against stagnation. That means you can't hang around people like us and remain the same. It's not possible. We talk you out, we move you out, we drag you out of stagnation. Because in life, stagnation is what makes people not to smell well. Look at the water in the kitchen sink. They don't smell good. Look at the water in the lake. They don't smell good. You know why? They're not moving. Anything that lacks movement, whether it's in the national level, whether it's at the local level, it will not smell good. You could see the challenges we have in Nigeria today. If they have been moving through the process of growth consistently, things will smell good. That's why they call me the voice against stagnation. I come in, help people move from A to point B.
Why did you choose this part of leadership, of educating people and empowering them? What is your inspiration?
Very good. The power of suffering, the power of problems. You become stronger or weaker based on the challenges you face. I was lucky enough to see problems as a stepping stones to a greater height or higher fulfillments in life. Born in Nigeria, though I live in the US, I've been away for decades, but I know my struggle here, and I knew how I came out of that struggle. That's the reason why you call me the voice against stagnation, because I know what it takes to move from nothing, from zero, to being a hero.
Let's talk about leadership.
Yes.
That's your forte. Now, there is the saying that people get the kind of leaders they deserve. Is that case true of Nigeria?
Yes. At the same time, no. Yes, because when it's time to vote, you got to vote the right person that you think can do the job. That's one. Number two, the leader. Of course, let me go back to what one of the thought leaders of today said. He said, everything rises or falls by leadership. And that is so true. If you are doing well, check their leadership barometers. If they're not doing well, check their leadership barometers. So that is the reason why I say yes. It's yes because the type of leaders that we have in power, they determine so many things. They influence so many things. But true leadership must be anchored in knowledge. True leadership must be anchored on the people they lead. The strength of a true leader is anchored by the love for the people they lead. How do you know that you love the people you lead? When you prepare for them. How do you know you love the people you lead? When you respect them. How do you know you love the people you lead? When you don't take what belongs to them. When you steal from the government, when you steal from anywhere, you don't love the people. You can't love the people you lead and destroy them.
So what is your assessment of the leadership